Hi, welcome back to Dive Twang. I'm Dave. So then I like this backing track. I like this type of progression. I like Mixolydian. I like groove. I like simplicity. you know, um, just a really laid back feeling I have when I'm playing over this. And hopefully you can, get into it too. It's the same progression I used in the latest video a couple of days ago, right? It's just A and D, both major. Okay. And they're both just triads, which means on the backing track on both the rhythm guitar and the keyboard parts, um, there's the chord forms only include roots, thirds, and fifths. Okay. Now, that's kind of what we've been working on lately, right? Is even though we play over these kind of simple triad chords in the progression, like a lot of jam bands do, we can play all sorts of extensions and different notes from the key and the scales and things over and arpeggios and stuff over those chords. And it works great, and it gives you a nice balance of kind of the rock feeling of the tune, and then the enrichment of the melody and the vocal lines or the guitar soloing or whatever the case might be, by using these other theories. Now, if you didn't see that one the other day, this will still work for you. But I will go back and change the thumbnail on that one to a part one, and then I'll make another one that looks virtually just like it for part two for this video. So you put those two together, you're going to have some pretty good little real estate of how to solo over this backing track. And this video, like always, will have several minutes of that backing track at the end for you to practice with. So let me get this where I can reach it. Here's a little warm up, and take the time to warm up. This channel is more of a lesson kind of format. It's not just, here's the lick and that's it. It's you're gonna be more successful or probably feel better about things if you take the extra minute or two to just settle into the feel of the piece that we're working on. You don't have to copy my rhythm exactly, just A, just get into it, relax. D, and since today we're moving up to another position, we could do A up here. And D. This helps you kind of map out, the position, the region of the neck that you're in, right? Now, I'll just leave that on. So let's just warm up with some triads for each one, okay? Roots, thirds, and fifths. Okay. Now, that kind of gets us up to, where we were the other day when we started adding the seventh. Okay. So this piece is in D major. So our major scale is D to D, and it's the do, re, mi. Okay. And on this channel, what we call the river of notes in a key is it's not just that D to D, it's that sequence of notes going out on both tails. If you look at it as like the keyboard of a piano, it just keeps going down and keeps going up if you start, in the center of the keyboard, right? And sometimes it's harder to conceptualize that with guitar, but all music is like that. It's a continuum of notes that repeats itself, the sequence, right? So if we play the notes that are in that D major scale, but we start on G, or A, sorry, for the other chord, for the A major chord, we use the notes from the river of D. We will naturally find that that is the mode that's created. It's called Mixolydian. Don't worry if all this sticks all at once, because you're going to be able to use this right away, whether you can account for it all theoretically or not. So you got, and if you just count them out, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's your seventh. Okay? And you can kind of derive those for each one of the chords in a key. Here we're just using the 1 chord and the 5 chord. So for the 5, we're using an A7 arpeggio. Okay, and we really spent time on that the other day, and there's I'll put the diagrams for the ones in this position over your backing track today, as well as the new ones, which will be up here. But it's the same theory, okay? So you're just going to have more real estate to work with, right? For D, we can do the same thing. That's our root, 3rd, and 5th. We just count up. Root, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 6. Our 7th on that is this note here, C sharp, okay? And that's our arpeggio for D major 7 there. Even though we're not playing those chords in the backing track, just triads. So, continue with our warm-up. Let's do it down here first. Hear how much richer you got when you put that 7th in there. You got some nice, rich chord tones mixed in there. Okay, sometimes we call those target tones and things too. So if you hear these terms and you're not sure what's going on exactly, that's pretty much that's one of the things that a lot of players and channels and musicians are talking about. Now, basically, that's our program. It's going to move it up and learn some stuff in a new position. So up here, our A major is that kind of C shape if you're thinking caged, right? And our we want a A7 for the A and a major 7 arpeggio for the D. Again, don't get hung up on all that if it starts to interfere with what you're doing. Stay focused on it. Here's the sequence for the A7. We're just playing that over an A triad. And here's the sequence for the D major 7 triad. Okay, that's those 2 diagrams there. Now, over the outro, I'll leave them up, a little bit longer, and I'll put them up here in a second again as well. So now, that same kind of what we were doing with the warm-up with the triads, a little bit at a time, start adding those 7s in there. Okay. I'm playing a little bit more melodically. Even just do it in quarter notes and stuff if that's what makes sense to you at first, speed wise. Just, you don't have to start at the bottom every time, but at first that's probably a good idea, or on the root at least. Okay. Don't be afraid to, don't worry if you're not, playing a killer solo or whatever right away. You got to do some, sometimes when we're demonstrating, when we're creating these videos, many of us are, we're used to doing this. So we're kind of talking about it in a more simple context. And then we start playing and we're already kind of all over the place. And I catch myself doing that. Always get a program that makes sense to you in terms of speed, and stop it, check the diagram, go back, use little pieces of the arpeggios, and not always try to rip the whole thing up and down, every single time, stuff like that. It'll work out for you. That's pretty much the meat and potatoes of it for today. Now, we mentioned this the other day, and I want to show you a little bit about this because there's a lot of it in that opening demonstration, and you're going to have more fun if you put in a little bit of a pentatonic, element to this also, and mix it in there with your arpeggios, okay? And remember, when I say arpeggio, I'm just saying, you learn it and then you use pieces of it. You use it melodically, not just straight up and down all the time, right? So, A major pentatonic. All right. And we're kind of overlapping it with D, the tune's in D major. That there's in major pentatonic, there's no seventh note. So for that A, you don't get that. You don't have a conflict there, really. So we'll use that in the demo. You'll see if I play basically this kind of form. I'm doing a little bit of the arpeggios and then major pentatonic phrase. Boy, that really settles in, doesn't it? So just keep it simple. Find a segment of that diagram there, or that run for A major pentatonic, and just meditate on it. That's where you want to bend it. Hang out there all day, man. Now, little by little, you start looking around for those arpeggios and those other sequences for each chord, and you're going to see how many of them overlap with that. same notes as. Okay. Don't want to do too long of a demonstration there without any explanation, but I also don't want to, hold you up with a lot of verbiage. Here's the program on this. I'm going to take you through it one step at a time. Warm up on the chords. Okay, then we're going to work up here. Warm up with the triads. Roots, thirds, and fifths for A and D. A. Okay, then put those sevenths in there. Then start putting a little bit of that pentatonic. Okay. There's several pieces to that. There's several things going on there. This isn't just a lick number one, lick number two deal. Be patient. Watch it a couple times if you need to. Go back and watch that previous video and pair all this, put all this together. It'll work out. You can really be, soloing if you're kind of in the early stages of developing a style for soloing. This will help get you there. If you're already, up and running pretty good with soloing and improvisation, just, there's no limit to how far you can take these ideas, with different rhythmic approaches and different tones and setting up your amp and your sound and everything different. All the things that are really fun. Got to get those basics really solid. All right. Let me know how it goes. Talk to you next time.